I'm Aaron Parker, and the day my acceptance letter to UC Berkeley arrived, I felt like I could finally breathe. That envelope wasn't just paper. It was a golden ticket, a promise that my years of grinding through textbooks, leading the Eco Club, and dreaming of a life beyond this sleepy Midwest suburb weren't for nothing. I'd sit in my room, the faint scent of pine from the woods behind our house drifting through the window, picturing California's redwoods and lecture halls buzzing with ideas about saving the planet. I'd pinned Berkeley's green and gold pennant above my desk, right next to my dog-eared environmental science books, each one a step toward the future I'd been building since I was a kid, trailing my grandmother through her garden, listening to her talk about the power of knowledge and standing on your own 2 feet. That afternoon, I was sprawled on my bed, flipping through Berkeley's course catalog, circling classes like climate dynamics and sustainable ecosystems. My heart was doing cartwheels. This was it, my escape from the suffocating expectations of our little town, where my parents' real estate signs dotted every other lawn, and their obsession with keeping up appearances hung over us like a fog. I was the kid who stayed up late perfecting lab reports while my brother, Charles, charmed his way through life. Always the golden boy in their eyes.
Me?
I was just the smart one, expected to figure things out on my own. "Aaron, honey, can you come downstairs?" My mom's voice cut through my daydreams. There was a weird edge to it, not her usual bubbly tone she used when showing clients' houses. "Your dad and I need to talk." My stomach did a little flip, but I brushed it off, still high on my Berkeley buzz. I jogged down the stairs, the catalog still clutched in my hand, expecting maybe a lecture about chores or something mundane. They were sitting on the living room couch, too close, like they were huddling for warmth. Mom's smile was tight, not reaching her eyes, and Dad was staring at the coffee table like it held the secrets of the universe. The air felt heavy, like the moment before a storm breaks. "What's going on?" I asked, my voice lighter than I suddenly felt. "Sit down, sweetheart," Dad said, his tone softer than usual, which made my skin prickle. I sank into the armchair, clutching the catalog like a shield. "Is everything okay?" I asked, my eyes darting between them. Mom reached for my hand, her fingers cold and clammy. "Aaron, there's no easy way to say this," she started, her voice trembling just enough to seem real. Dad cleared his throat, his hands clasped so tightly his knuckles were white. "It's about your college fund, honey." The world slowed down. My college fund, the one they'd promised was safe, built from years of their sacrifices and my own summer jobs. The one I'd counted on for Berkeley. "What about it?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Dad's eyes flicked up to mine, his face a mask of regret that didn't quite fit. "There was an investment, a business opportunity we thought was a sure thing. We put a chunk of your fund in, thinking it'd grow, make things even better for you." He paused, and the silence was suffocating. "It didn't work out. We lost it, Aaron. All of it." The words hit like a punch to the gut. "All of it," I echoed, my voice cracking. The catalog slipped from my hands, landing with a soft thud on the floor. Berkeley, the dorms, the classes I'd circled, gone. My future, the one I'd earned with every late night and perfect grade, shattered like glass. But tuition, the deposit, everything? I stammered, the room tilting. Mom's grip tightened, her eyes glistening with tears that didn't fall. "We're so sorry, baby. You have no idea how terrible we feel." But her voice had that rehearsed quality, like she'd practiced this in the mirror. Dad jumped in, too quick, his tone shifting to practical. "We've been thinking. A gap year could be good. Or, the community college here in town is solid. You could stay home, save money." Community college. After Berkeley. The suggestion was a slap, stinging worse than the loss itself. My chest ached, a hollow, throbbing pain. "You're saying I can't go?" I asked, my voice breaking. "Not this year, sweetheart," Mom said softly, her hand patting mine like I was a child. "We're stretched thin as it is." Her words felt like a script, and I pulled my hand away, the betrayal sinking deeper. Just then, Charles sauntered in, scrolling on a shiny new phone I hadn't seen before. "What's with the funeral vibes?" he asked, glancing at my tear-streaked face and our parents' somber expressions. We were just telling Erin about her college fund, Dad said, his voice heavy. Charles winced, but it was exaggerated, almost performative. Oof, that investment thing? Tough break, sis. He patted my shoulder, but his touch felt dismissive, like he was brushing off a minor inconvenience. You're smart, though. You'll figure it out. His eyes glinted with something unsettling, a flicker of satisfaction, maybe, or worse, amusement. A tiny smirk tugged at his lips before he smoothed it away. We'll look into community college programs tomorrow, Mom said, her voice brightening as if the problem was already solved. It'll be an adjustment, but you're resilient, Erin. That word, resilient, landed like a stone in my stomach. I looked at them. Dad's practiced sorrow, Mom's forced sympathy, Charles's barely concealed indifference. The room felt smaller, the walls closing in. I mumbled something about needing space and stumbled upstairs, their voices trailing after me, talking about making the best of things. In my room, I sank onto my bed, the Berkeley pennant mocking me from the wall. Tears came, hot and unstoppable, as the weight of my stolen future crushed me. But beneath the grief, something else stirred, a cold, hard knot of suspicion. Dad's vague explanation, Mom's crocodile tears, Charles's smirk. Their story didn't add up. It felt rehearsed, like they'd all been handed a script. And Charles, he looked like someone who'd just won something. The next few days were a haze of forced smiles and hollow promises. Mom kept calling it my lost future, her voice dripping with sympathy that felt as fake as the flowers on our dining room table. Don't worry, sweetie, she'd say, patting my arm. We'll figure something out. Maybe a part-time job while you're at community college. Dad would nod, adding, it'll build character. Character. As if I hadn't built enough staying up until dawn to ace exams while Charles partied his way through life. Meanwhile, Charles was practically glowing. He'd show up at breakfast with a new laptop, a sleek tablet, talking loudly on his phone about disruptive tech and seed money. One morning, I overheard him in the hallway, his voice brimming with confidence. Yeah, the funding's locked in. Phase 1's a go. We're talking game changer, man. Funding. My college fund. The pieces snapped together with a sickening clarity. They hadn't lost my money. They'd given it to him. I spilled it all to Lisa, my best friend, one afternoon on her front porch. We were swinging on her old creaky swing, the kind that squeaked with every push. I picked at a loose thread on my jeans, my voice low. It doesn't make sense, Lisa. They always said my fund was untouchable, a sure thing. Now it's gone, and Charles is suddenly flush with cash for his startup? He's been talking about it forever, but he never had the money before. Lisa's eyes widened, her paint-splattered hands pausing mid-gesture. No way, Erin. They wouldn't. She leaned closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. Would they? Wouldn't they? I shot back, bitterness burning my throat. Charles has always been their golden boy, the one they bet on. I'm just the backup plan, the one who's supposed to figure it out. My hands clenched, the knot in my stomach tightening. Lisa reached out, squeezing my arm. That's messed up, Erin. You don't deserve this. She was right, but deserving had nothing to do with it. The air in our house grew thick with things unsaid. Mom started leaving community college brochures everywhere, on the kitchen counter, my desk, even the bathroom sink. The bakery's hiring, she chirped one morning, waving a classified ad like it was a lifeline. You could save up. Save up for what? A life I never wanted, stuck in this town I'd spent years planning to leave? The final nail came one night when I crept downstairs for water, moving quietly, like I was afraid of waking the truth. Charles's bedroom door was cracked open, a sliver of light spilling into the dark hallway. Their voices, Mom, Dad, Charles, were low, almost conspiratorial. The last transfer cleared today, Dad said, a smug edge to his words. Your startup's fully funded, son. Every cent from her account. My breath caught, my heart pounding so loud I thought they'd hear it. I pressed myself against the wall, my palms sweaty. Mom's laugh was light, almost giddy. You're a genius, honey. Charles, this is your big shot. Don't worry about Erin, she'll manage. She's always been resilient. Resilient. There it was again, not a compliment but a weapon, an excuse for their betrayal. Charles's voice cut in, smug and careless. Yeah, she'll be fine. Probably end up at that community college, get some dead-end job. She's not like me. She doesn't have big dreams. The words sliced through me, sharp and cold. My family, the people who were supposed to love me, had stolen my future and handed it to Charles like it was nothing. My dreams, my years of hard work, reduced to a footnote in his grand plan. I backed away, silent, my hands shaking not with fear but with a rage so deep it felt like it could burn the house down. Back in my room, I stared at my reflection in the mirror, a pale, angry girl I barely recognized. They thought I'd roll over, accept their lies, and manage. They were dead wrong. Then, like a lifeline, a memory hit me. Grandma Hazel, with her sharp eyes and no-nonsense smile, handing me a small passbook on my 16th birthday. This is for a rainy day, Erin, she'd said, her voice warm but firm. Or, for when you need to make your own sunshine. She'd never trusted Dad's flashy schemes, always warned me to keep my own counsel. That passbook, tucked away in a box under my bed, was my secret. A private bank account she'd set up, one my parents didn't know about. A spark of hope flared in my chest, cutting through the fog of betrayal. They'd taken one future from me, but maybe, just maybe, I could build another. The next morning I woke up different. The heartbroken girl was gone, replaced by someone with a fire in her gut and a plan forming in her mind. I went downstairs, forcing a tired smile as I poured cereal. Morning, I said, my voice steady despite the storm inside me. Morning, sweetie, Mom replied, too cheerful, like she was trying to sell me on her own lies. Sleep okay? Fine, I lied, stirring my cereal. I was thinking maybe I should check out classes at Lincoln Community. You know, keep busy. Relief flooded her face, so obvious it was almost laughable. Oh, Erin, that's smart. So proactive. Your dad will love that. Dad shuffled in, coffee mug in hand. Lincoln Community, huh? Good girl. Sensible. He patted my head, a gesture that made my skin crawl. I swallowed my anger, letting them think I was broken, compliant, ready to accept their version of my future. I nodded at their suggestions, flipped through the brochures Mom left on my nightstand, even let her help me fill out a preliminary application, her pen lingering over the financial aid section like she was auditioning for an Oscar. But while they were busy patting themselves on the back, I was moving. Grandma Hazel's passbook was hidden in my backpack, my lifeline. One afternoon, I biked to a small bank downtown, the kind that still had a human touch. My hands shook as I slid the passbook and my ID across the counter. I'd like to check the balance, please, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. The teller, a woman with kind eyes and a name tag reading Janet, tapped at her keyboard. She smiled, passing me a slip of paper. It's a healthy balance, Miss Parker. I glanced at the number and my breath caught. It wasn't just healthy, it was a small fortune. Grandma Hazel hadn't just tucked away a few bucks, she'd invested wisely, and I'd added to it over the years with every babysitting gig and birthday check, keeping it secret like she taught me. Never let anyone control your money, Erin, she'd said, her voice sharp with warning. Your independence is everything. I walked out of the bank, my heart pounding with gratitude and purpose. The grief was still there, a dull ache, but now it was fuel. They'd stolen one dream, but I'd build another, better and mine alone. I started spending hours at the library pretending to research community college courses while actually diving into scholarship applications. My grades were near perfect, my eco club leadership a shining star on my resume. I wrote essays that burned with quiet fury, pouring my betrayal and determination into every word. I applied to universities across the country, Oregon, Colorado, anywhere far from this suffocating town. Responses trickled in. First, a few partial scholarships, then bigger ones. One afternoon, an email from a university in Oregon landed in my inbox. My hands trembled as I opened it. Dear Miss Parker, we are pleased to offer you the Chancellor's Scholarship, covering full tuition and fees. I read it again, tears prickling, not of sadness, but of fierce, triumphant joy. A full ride to a place they couldn't touch, a future they couldn't steal. That evening, Charles waltzed into the kitchen, grabbing a soda and sporting a new designer jacket. Hey, sis, he said, his tone dripping with condescension. Heard the diner's hiring. You gonna start pulling your weight now that you're, staying local? His smirk was unbearable, but I just looked at him, my own smile cold and sharp. The scholarship letter felt like a secret weapon in my pocket. You have no idea, I thought, my resolve burning hotter than ever. The pressure from my parents ramped up, a constant hum of expectation. Mom littered the house with Lincoln Community College brochures, pointing out classes like Intro to Business with forced enthusiasm. This could be fun, Erin, she'd say, her smile brittle. Dad was more direct. One evening, he sat me down at the dining table, a stack of loan applications in front of him. We've filled these out for Lincoln, he said, tapping the papers. Just sign here and here. The numbers, loan amounts, interest rates made my stomach churn. This was their plan, debt, dependence, my dreams neatly boxed away. I sighed, playing the part. Okay, Dad. If there's no other way. That's my girl, he said, relief in his voice. We'll get through this together. Together. The word was a lie, and I let it hang there, my anger simmering beneath a mask of compliance. In secret, I was a whirlwind. I visited the bank again, working with Janet to transfer Grandma Hazel's funds to a new account at a national bank, one my parents couldn't touch. I spent hours online, securing a small studio apartment near my new university in Oregon, signing the lease with a deposit from my untouchable account. Each step felt like a rebellion, a brick in the wall I was building between me and their betrayal. The real game changer came from an envelope Grandma Hazel had left me, labeled for Erin, when you're ready to stand tall. Inside were letters, photos, and legal documents, including a business card for Helen, a lawyer Grandma trusted. She's honest, Grandma's note read. She'll help you. I made an appointment, my heart racing as I walked into Helen's office, a modest space downtown with bookshelves and a calm air. I laid out the documents, keeping the full extent of my family's betrayal vague, focusing on understanding the papers. Helen, with her steady gaze and graying hair, studied the documents. Your grandmother was brilliant, Erin, she said, her voice warm. This inheritance is yours, no question. But this, she held up a deed of trust. This is something else. She explained that Grandma Hazel had provided a huge chunk of the down payment for our family home, structured as a loan. If her wishes for my education were ignored after I turned 18, her share of the house, plus interest, would legally transfer to me. My jaw dropped. Grandma Hazel hadn't just given me money. She'd given me power. So, if they used my college fund for something else, like Charles's startup, I trailed off, my mind racing. Helen nodded, a knowing glint in her eyes. Exactly. You have a claim to a significant portion of the house's equity. It was perfect, a masterstroke I couldn't have dreamed up myself. That night, as I pretended to study the Lincoln brochures, Dad patted my head. Proud of you, Erin. We knew you'd understand our sacrifice. The hypocrisy made my skin crawl, but I just smiled, a silent vow in my heart. The day they expected me to sign those loan papers, loan signing day, I called it in my head, loomed closer. They were almost giddy, thinking they'd won, that I was tamed. But my room was quietly emptying. I'd been sneaking clothes, books, and mementos to Lisa's house, labeled as donations. Lisa didn't pry, just stored everything, her eyes full of quiet support. My suitcase, hidden in my closet, held the essentials. Clothes, my scholarship letter, Grandma Hazel's documents. The letter I'd leave behind was written, every word sharp and true, ready to lay bare their lies. The house was electric with their false victory. Tomorrow was loan signing day, and my parents were practically floating, their smiles too wide, their touches too eager. They thought they'd box me in, solved their errand problem. But my room told a different story. Bare, stripped of the things that mattered most. That night, I sat at my desk, the silence broken only by my racing heart. My letter, cold and precise, sat ready. You stole my college fund for Charles's startup, lied about a bad investment, and thought I'd just manage. You were wrong. I've secured a full scholarship to a university far away. By the time you read this, I'm gone. And Grandma Hazel's share of this house? It's mine now, thanks to her foresight. Helen will be in touch. I signed my name, then the legal document Helen had sent, asserting my claim. A strange calm settled over me, a quiet strength amidst the storm of grief and fury. Dinner was a farce. Mom chattered about Charles's big plans, Dad lectured about the value of community college, and Charles smirked like he'd already made it big. I nodded, ate, and excused myself. Early night, I said. Big day tomorrow, right? Get some rest, sweetie, Mom beamed. We'll tackle those papers after breakfast. Can't wait, I replied, my voice flat. Later, when the house was dark and quiet, I moved. Jacket on, backpack slung over my shoulder, I slipped out, the front door lock clicking softly. The night air was crisp, smelling of grass and freedom. My old car, parked a street away, waited with my suitcase already in the trunk, thanks to Lisa. I didn't look back as I walked to it, the letter left on my bed like a grenade with the pin pulled. The highway stretched out, a path to my new life. I drove through the night, my thermos of coffee, courtesy of Lisa, keeping me awake. Dawn painted the sky in soft pinks as I imagined the chaos back home. Mom calling, air and breakfast, then growing irritated. Dad stomping to my room, expecting to find me sulking. Instead, they'd find the letter, the empty room, the absence of my books and posters. I could picture Mom's trembling hands, Dad's face reddening, Charles's smugness turning to panic as they read my words. Every penny from my education account. Grandma Hazel's fund has secured my future. I'm gone. My burner phone buzzed. Mom, Dad, Charles, one after another. Texts flooded in. Aaron, where are you? This isn't funny. What the hell is this letter? I let them pile up, a bitter smile on my lips. At a gas station, I ditched the phone, ready to cut that final tie. Miles away, in my New Oregon apartment, I unpacked boxes Lisa had shipped to a P.O. box. Helen delivered the legal notice, a bombshell that forced my family to face reality. Buy me out or sell the house. They didn't have the money. Charles's startup had drained them. The house sold, the proceeds split, my share safe in a trust Helen helped me set up. Leah's text kept me updated. Your mom's a mess, calling everyone sobbing. Your dad tried to fight Helen, but she shut him down. Charles is screaming about his startup. It's toast. Their world unraveled. The community whispered, their perfect image shattered. Dad tried to paint me as a troubled runaway, but Helen's strategic hints about financial misdirection silenced him. Charles's startup collapsed, his investors gone, his dreams dust. I thrived in Oregon. My classes were electric, my new friends real. I joined an environmental research group, won an award for a project on urban sustainability. One evening, standing on a lecture hall stage, certificate in hand, I thought of their words. She'll manage. She's resilient. They'd meant it as an excuse, but I'd made it my truth. My resilience wasn't just survival, it was victory, a life they couldn't touch, built on Grandma Hazel's love and my own fire. My family? They moved to a cramped rental, Charles back under their roof, his startup a memory. I felt triumph, yes, but also a quiet ache for the family I'd once believed in. They'd chosen Charles, chosen lies, and lost everything. I didn't regret a thing. Their betrayal had forged me, and I was stronger for it. To everyone who's followed this journey, thank you. You've walked with me through heartbreak, betrayal, and a hard-won triumph. If my story hit you, hit that subscribe button and join us, where every fight, every dream, every step forward tells a story of grit, heart, and new beginnings. Keep chasing your own truth, and I'll meet you on the other side.